Welcome to The Coop with Kit. My name is Kit Hoover, and I have been lucky enough in my 30 years in this business to interview some of the most iconic, badass women out there. We all know that girlfriends give the best advice, and they're all coming to The Coop. We're talking career, marriage, kids, sex, aging, all of it. I truly believe we are just hitting our stride. All right, my chickens, let's get into it. Hello, my chickens. In The Coop today, we've got Jessica Alba, a dynamic force in Hollywood business and beyond. She's literally a marvel in every sense of the word. Her journey is far more than just business and blockbuster hits. She's battled through challenges, including conquering a debilitating illness as a child that I had no idea about. She's the epitome of owning your own power and finding that inner voice. From a spontaneous courthouse elopement to 3 incredibly beautiful kids, Jessica's story is one of unparalleled strength, ingenuity, and lots of love. Please welcome the ultimate chingona to The Coop, Jessica Alba. Jessica Alba, everybody. Thank you for coming on The Coop.
It's so nice to be here.
Jessica, it's funny. We are trying to wrap our arms around just what a badass you are and everything you've accomplished. This isn't even like the real list, but dark angel, professional stunt woman, Marvel maven, super mom, super wife, youngest Latina to take a company public, loyal friend, female Rambo. But my favorite, Jessica, that I got off your Instagram, chingona. Tell me about this word.
Yeah, that's like just like a badass. I mean, it's like a strong kind of badass, kind of unapologetic woman.
Have you always been like that?
I think I always have been a chingona, yeah. But I probably embraced it unapologetically over the last 10 years.
This is what this podcast is about. Is that one of your kids coming in?
Yeah,
Is that Hayes?
They're in the background.
Listen, I love that
no,
you're a real mom.
No.
Jessica's shaking her head, listeners. That's so funny. I want to get into your childhood, but before that, one word, Jessica, to describe where you are in your life right now.
I feel like I'm in a place of calm. It feels more like a calm before the storm, and not a bad storm, but it's sort of like when you work on things, you know how you don't get it all as you're working on it. You have to like plant the seeds and you water it, and then you wait for the sun to give it the light and feed it. And then you wait for the weather to be the right time, and it's all about the right timing. And I feel like I've been planting many seeds and giving it the watering, and I'm just sort of in that watering sun, waiting for the right weather for things to sort of bloom. And I'm in that phase. Does that make sense?
What a beautiful way to put it. Yes, it does. And now that you're, we're going to get into the honest company. Now that your baby's off to college, your company, this watering phase that we're thinking, is this more in the acting space, or are you cooking up something else?
It's multiple things. It's that there's some in the producing space and the acting space and the entertainment world. It's also in some things that are kind of percolating in business. I approached things with such a fight, and I feel like now I'm looking for more things with ease. And I want to, I think, create in this phase of my life with more joy.
Oh, I like that.
Instead of with so much resistance, which is what I was comfortable with before. But I think there's probably a different way to manifest and create.
I think that comes with age. There's a calmness and a wisdom for everything you've been through. And I didn't know much about your childhood. Tell me about how you grew up.
Well, I grew up with parents that were very young. We grew up, living paycheck to paycheck. I started working at age 12, and it gave me the opportunity to contribute to the household income, which gave some relief to the stress of just, paying the bills and getting by.
But that's pressure on you as a child, I can imagine.
Absolutely. And I would say that while I was probably more of an old soul in a lot of ways and ready for that type of responsibility, at the same time, there's probably pieces of myself that didn't get nurtured as a child, because I did feel like I needed to jump into responsibility so early in life. I also had a lot of illness when I was a kid.
Yeah, tell me about that, about the illnesses. I didn't know you were in and out of hospitals all the time.
I had a lot of illness from issues with my kidneys and issues with appendix and tonsils. So I had like surgeries. And then I had a ton of issues with asthma and allergies, severe reactions. And I was on so much medication. Every cold I got turned into like bronchitis or pneumonia. It was always like the extreme, you know? And I think because I spent so much time in hospitals, I spent a lot of time around adults and I was kind of isolated from my peer group, which then probably prepared me for a life with circus people, which is how I describe people in
Yeah.
entertainment. Because I felt like I was like, oh, I'm home with these nomads that are all sort of the weirdos of their families.
So I think about you now as a mom, and you said there as a little girl, certain ways that you weren't fed. What were those ways? What ways were you not getting met?
Well, I mean, I've done a lot of therapy and healing. And I also just think there's something about watching your parents really manifest and live their dreams versus not. What does that do to a kid? And watching my parents kind of feel like their wishes or dreams or hopes were put on the back burner because they had to sacrifice to provide for us. And that made me so determined to want a different reality for myself. But then my kids get to have the example of my husband and I are both entrepreneurs. I created a career in two fields outside of anything. There was no nepotism. There was nothing was handed to me. I started from the bottom with scraps and I figured it out. And at the same time, I also am living out my dream, you know? And I think there's something really neat that my kids get to watch their parents both create something that never really existed for their lives and also provide for them and create a safety net where we're not having to scrap by and live paycheck to paycheck, but we're not living to work. We're
You're
working to
working to
live.
live.
That's what
There
it
it is.
is.
There it is.
But
Well,
I feel like so many people in our country do the opposite, right? Their whole identity is tied up in their work and it can be very stressful. And I think we both take the approach of like, we want to just really spend time with our kids and quality time. And we also want to be inspired when we're at work every day and we feel a deep sense of purpose in what we do.
I love that you are self-made. And I love whatever you do, Jessica, you do it effing all out. You don't seem to do anything half-assed. I love people like that.
That's
Like you
true.
throw yourself in to
Yeah.
what you're doing. And growing up, I was reading an article about you, a little feminist at age 8, right? Like knew you're put on the planet to save the earth with everything you're doing. I like that you play a superhero and you are a superhero, right? But how did you get in to acting? Because you and I are in this business. It is not easy even having connections. Do you remember your first role? Where was it before Dark
Yeah.
Angel where you thought like, okay, I've made it?
Dark Angel was definitely the role that I feel like I made it. And I got that role when I was 17. But when I was 11, there was like an advertisement for this acting studio. And it's like the grand prize. You get to win a year's worth of acting classes and you get to for agents and you get headshots. And we had no money. So my aunt, my cousins, my brother, my mom, my aunt's sister and her boyfriend, we all piled into a car. I mean, there was like a lot of people. It's like a clown car, a lot of people in this car.
They're all, you kept going.
We're all in the car. We're all going to the Hilton Hotel to audition for these acting classes. And it's like, do you want to be a star? And I won the grand prize out of like thousands of people. Basically, I was 11. So I told them I have to fit all of this year's worth of classes and all this stuff into one summer because I have to go to school. And plus we didn't really have like extra money. So we had to like scrounge in between the couches and the bottom of purses and try and get all the change, for gas money.
I love that.
And that's how I got my first agent. I learned about auditioning and got my first headshots. And then I got my first job maybe 2 months later. And that was a job called Camp Nowhere. And they gave me 3 lines. So I got to become SAG. So I got to get in the union. And then from there, you're auditioning for more things. So I just like was kind of more of a working actor until Dark Angel, and that really set up my career.
What did your family think about this? Let's go back to just winning the first contest. What did your aunt, your mom, your dad, like, did they always see this in you?
I think they all saw it in themselves as well. I don't think they thought I was any different than that. Like everybody was like auditioning for it. Everybody was like, it could happen to me. I don't think they really thought that I was special in any way. I mean, maybe they would say now, but I think at the time it was just sort of like, you got lucky. I mean, I was kind of a provocative kid, and I would say I was probably not necessarily the favorite even. I mean, for my grandmother, I look like my grandmother, so I was probably her favorite in some ways.
great.
Don't tell my cousins or my brother. All of us grandkids thought we were the favorite of our grandma. I like to push buttons, and I questioned authority, and I wasn't the easiest kid, on top of the health issue. But my parents always thought my brother was really special. So
My brother's the golden child in the family.
I think my brother's definitely the favorite. If they were
Same.
there's gonna be a favorite, it's my brother. But they're proud of us both.
Yeah, we say that. He refers to himself as the golden child. We're like, oh, we'll give you that. What motivates you, Jessica? Do you think it's that childhood growing up? Because you have this thing in you, this drive that I just think is unmatched.
I grew up with stories of my grandparents used to perform at a dinner theater where they would like sing and dance and act, but they also like bust the tables and worked in the kitchen and did anything they could. It was sort of like this group of people that did it all. And they talk about these days as being the greatest days of their lives. But my grandmother said, oh, yeah, I used to get scouted to do Elvis movies or to do the West Side Story. They really wanted me to play Maria. And I was like, Grandma, why didn't you do it? And she was like, well, because I didn't want to leave my family. And I'm like, but you could totally have your family. You could do both. And
Do
she's like,
both.
well, I just didn't feel like I could. And I felt like it was one or the other. And I was
Wow.
like, movies only last like a month and 2 months. And it just felt like there was no way she could do both. And I feel like even my grandfather too, he was like an accountant, but he was an incredible Spanish guitar player, like one of the best.
That's so cool.
And he was like, did the right thing, in his eyes, and didn't pursue the arts. I mean, he did it as a love and a passion, but his like day to day was corporate America.
Is he still alive to see your success, Jessica?
He was like, he passed away recently. So he got to see it.
Oh.
And it's cool because they were so proud. But I would say watching them not totally fulfill their creativity or like their passions and feeling like, man, they compromised on it. And they grew up in a much different time where it was very racist and segregated against Mexicans. So they had a different reality, a lot of other factors. And so I think that made a big influence on me.
Yeah.
Also, I was driven by people not believing in me or thinking that I couldn't do it. I got almost energized by it, like, let me show them.
That's one thing I couldn't wait to interview about is I feel like people keep trying to put you in a box or think you're one way, and you continue to just shatter that box, the ceiling, everywhere you go. With James Cameron, when you got Dark Angel, I love that he gave you a seat at the table and you were, what, 17 years old? How did that come to be that he already saw that in you?
Well, I think he sees that in a lot of artists. I mean, he has written strong women kind of always. He's sort of like an OG in that. For him, it was like, I want the voice of Max and this show, Dark Angel, to really be tailored to whoever we cast. So they only wrote, I think, a treatment for what the show would be and a couple of paragraphs. And that was what I auditioned with. But then the rest of the show kind of got fleshed out after they cast me. And they allowed me to be part of that process a bit. So that was just really cool. That's just his instinct. He's just evolved, I would say.
Do you ever laugh thinking because you were 17? And is your oldest daughter 17 or about to turn 17?
She just turned 16.
16. So do you ever laugh like,
Yeah.
oh my God, she's around the same age as where I sort of my career started to take off? I've got 3 kids and I'm just baffled when I see the milestones that they're going through. I'm like, my daughter can't find her socks. Like at that age, I was already doing this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is a trip. Like even my middle child is 12. And that's when I started acting. And I'm like, oh my God, like no way is this kid trying to like learn lines, be on set all day. And you have to get like good grades as
Yeah.
well in order to get your work permit. And I was like doing the most. And she wants to sleep in.
Yeah.
Like, she's like, no, thank you. Why would she even like put pressure on herself like that? And then also,
Or give the money to you, then say, Mom and Dad, here's what I made. Like, you
yeah,
were unbelievable. Yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. Yeah, it's wild, but totally different. I think because I didn't have a traditional upbringing, I get to live vicariously through my kids, and I get so much joy just watching them. They're so wholesome. They're so sweet and pure in their spirits. And not that I wasn't, but I think I I saw a lot more that kind of gave me a little bit of cynicism early.
yeah.
And I feel like they don't have that.
Yeah. I always say their success, their drive is what motivates me. That's my greatest
Mhm.
success when the three of them are just thriving. And Jessica, each stage is so fun.
Yeah, I do love all the stages. Sometimes it feels overwhelming because I have the 6-year-old, the 12-year-old, and the 16, and
Yeah.
just what they need from me is very different. There's not a ton of crossover. So it's like sometimes that feels overwhelming. I feel like some days I'm like, oh, just leave me alone. I just need peace and quiet.
Did you always want to be a mom?
Yeah. Yeah. Since I was a kid, I saw myself as a mom. I think sometimes you just know or you don't, no judgment either way. Um, and I don't know if it was even like society having an impression like I just knew I wanted kids
Same.
for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're the same because two girls and then a boy. I feel like my daughters are hardest on my son. Like, are they tough on him?
Yes,
Yes.
they are tough on him and they like bully him.
Yes.
Or
They,
not bully, but kind
no.
of. They like walk by and they like
Yes.
definitely show him that they're bigger and stronger and they can just, do whatever they want. And it's very, I think, humbling. And they're like, yeah, he should be humbled, and I'm like, oh my
Totally.
God, that's so mean. He's the baby.
That's the best.
But I always feel like boys that have an older sister are the best.
I agree.
Not that others aren't, but there's something about a tenderness that boys, a compassion they have for women when they have to grow up with an older sister.
I'm telling you, you just nailed it. They're a special breed. I have an older brother, so I didn't know this dynamic, and it is fascinating to watch. How would your kids describe you, especially your daughters? And now, a word from our sponsors. Have you heard of Olakai? When I kick off my ridiculous high heels for Access Hollywood, Olakai is my go-to footwear. I found them when I was searching for the best flip-flop that also gives me the greatest support for my high arches, which has been impossible for me to find until now. Olakai is a super cool brand known for their anywhere aloha spirit and Hawaiian roots. They make shoes for every type of occasion. And now this includes the most comfortable and stylish pickleball and golf shoes. Hello. My favorite part is that the heels naturally go down to make every one of their shoes a slide. How genius is that? I promise you will love anything you get from them. And for Coop listeners, free shipping on any order at olakai.com. That's OLUKAI.com. Use code COOP and get your Olakais delivered ASAP to enjoy the summer. Mahalo. Coop Chicks, I am so fired up. I have discovered the most fabulous new female-owned botanical skincare line out of Nashville, Tennessee called Imogene & Co. for company. Using skincare products from natural ingredients is more important to me than ever. And Dr. Allison Brennan, the founder of Imogene & Co., is a trained pharmacist and has formulated products that I have never experienced before. They smell amazing, and her products cleanse, nourish, and hydrate. I seriously have noticed an incredible difference in my skin since using Imogene & Co. I am currently obsessed with their Glow Vitamin C Serum. This is the most potent and natural vitamin C serum I've ever used. It helps build collagen and bye-bye crow's feet. Equally, I really love their Revitalize face oil. I slather it on to start and to end my day. Give Imogene & Co. a try. Go to imogeneandco.com. That's EMOGENEAND co.com and use Coop 20 for 20% off. Ladies, are you like me and have looked everywhere to find your favorite white tee and tank? Well, look no further. I have found them at Aaron Gray. This will be your new go-to favorite white t-shirt brand. Custom designed in my hometown of ATL, Atlanta, and made of pure Pima cotton from Peru. You will never take it off. This pre-wash and pre-shrunk material is exclusive only to Aaron Gray and no annoying tags. How great is that? I am so happy and I feel so good every time I put these on. I have finally found my go-to tee. Aaron Gray is 100% women-owned and operated and gives 10% of profits back to cancer research every year. Go to aarongraydesign.com. That's ERINGRAY design.com. Use code COOP20 for 20% off. And now, back to the coop.
I don't know. Sometimes they say I'm scary.
That means you're doing it right.
But then thank you. But they also like cuddle on me and they want to tell me everything and sometimes too much. I'm like, okay, I don't need every detail of every single piece of the story right now. I get the big picture. I think I'm probably a good balance of being a parent that sets boundaries and has like rules, you know. But then I'm also really flexible and I like to improvise. So while I like to plan and I have things so organized and we have boundaries of what's appropriate, what's not appropriate at the same time, I think I still like to fly by the seat of my pants a bit.
That's the good stuff. Do they want to get into the business or they've seen any of your work or think you're cool?
I think they probably think I'm a mix of very uncool and sort of not the worst because I'm like, compared to your friends, Mom, like, what are we talking about? Like, whenever they are hard on me, I'm like, compared to who, you know, like,
so true.
And then they're like, I guess you're not that strict, or because that's the only time they're really hard on me when they think I'm being too strict. But I'm like, I'm really much more chill than a lot of your friends' moms.
I loved recently you posted they wore some of your old dresses that you wore to big events. I thought that was the coolest thing. And they're getting
it was crazy. And I was like, I was going through my storage and I saw them and I was like, oh my gosh, it would be so cute. And I was like, I bet they're going to shut me down. I bet they're going to be like, oh mom, that's not what anybody wears. Like, that's so uncool. Like, there's no way we're wearing that. Cause usually every time I suggest they wear anything, they're like, are you trying to dress me like a mom? Is what they say.
That's what I get. I'm like, mom jeans are in, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I don't look that bad anyway. But they were both into it. It was really sweet. And I was like, cool. So you will wear it? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, oh my God, that's so cool.
Oh, I love it.
And it was just kind of a fun moment. Also, because like, I'm not trying to get them another dress that they're literally going to wear for one time.
Not even. Yeah.
You can rewear it.
Working so much. Have you ever been mom shamed? Like, how's that juggle been for you?
There were twinges of mom shame with Hayes. Because I feel like you really feel it at the early ages, like with Honor, I definitely felt it. And Haven, preschool, kinder, the primary school ages, it's there a bit. And I just was, I tried, I attempted to do the things and sign up for all the book thing that you fill out. And I'm like, I can't. It's just not it.
It's so hard when you go there and it's all the ones. It's like, oh, and you want to put your name down, but you're like, then I know I'm going to get called. It's just a harder balance and you want to be there.
We do breakfast burritos. And that's what I did with Honor and Haven when they were younger. Like whenever they did the school friends breakfast, I bring the bomb breakfast burritos because it's what we want to eat anyway.
Yes. Do you make the bomb breakfast burrito?
Oh, no, I don't make it. No, there's a place that they're professionals.
Now I'm going to shame you if you're making these. I'm like, okay.
You can shame me. I definitely pick them up from our taco place, and they make amazing breakfast burritos, and it's fine.
Oh, that's great. I was gonna say you
Um,
made 80 of them. I'm like, okay, Jessica, now you're just
oh no,
showing off.
it's like 200. It's like 200.
It is funny though. It is such a funny balance. And I feel like for our kids to see us working but being present, it's a tricky balance.
I volunteer sometimes, but I feel like it's always kind of a fail whenever I do. So
Tell me about a time you failed that, because I've done art class. For me was an epic fail every time, Jessica. First of all, that I'd be there late, and it was just very stressful for me.
recently we did like smoothies, and I thought when you do smoothies with the kids
Oh
and
Lord.
in the classroom, and they're kinder, right? So you're like, it's not going to be that deep. Like it's going to be like strawberries and blueberries and bananas, and call it a day with a little orange juice and almond milk, or oat milk. There's the variety. These fools wanted custom. I was like, literally, are we at Jamba Juice right now?
This is
They're like,
so
oh,
LA.
not that much orange juice. Can you put a little more blueberries? I made custom smoothies, and it took so long, and then it would explode, and then it was like, then we figured out an assembly line, and then we're in the teacher's kitchen. So then the other teachers were like, oh, well, you took over our kitchen with all these little kids. And I was like, I'm sorry. They told me to come in here. The loud noise of the blenders freaks out the kids. It was like a whole thing.
That's hysterical.
But
Think of how far
yeah,
we've come, Jessica. And our mothers would no more be caught dead doing that. Like back in our day growing up, I mean, you were lucky if you got maybe a hot Capri Sun. I don't even know if we even got that, right? Like now it's the homemade and the almond milk and the thing. Like
Yeah.
it's so, and mothers didn't
It was like the
volunteer back
Sara
then.
Lee, pound cake, or the
100%.
Edamons.
The Edamons. Oh, that was
Yeah.
a big day if you got the Edamons.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Carnation instant breakfast.
Yes. Oh, now, Honest Company. How did this come about? Because here you are, really, you can say the height of your career. I mean, you just kept upping your game with one role to the next. But then you saw a need for something that wasn't being met. Take me in that
Mhm.
moment where all of a sudden you kind of maybe, I was thinking, reflected back on your childhood and thought, like, okay,
Yeah.
how did this happen?
I definitely had a moment when I was pregnant with Honor. All kinds of things go through your head, but of course, your own childhood. And so much of my childhood, I was like riddled with illness. And I had an allergic reaction to a laundry detergent my mom recommended I use. She was like, oh, it's for baby clothes. And I had this allergic reaction. And I was like, what could have caused this? And I freaked out, and I called my mom. And she's like, you're hormonal. Call me back when you're done yelling. And I was like, well, what's in this thing? And I Googled it, and I looked up ingredients and detergents and all these things. And I learned about untested chemicals that are in everyday products, everything from baby products all the way through to beauty products and personal care products, deodorants, air fresheners, mattresses, chemicals that are sprayed on children's pajamas, like all these things. And I was like, oh my God, like
What?
what's
Yeah.
happening? And we're all exposed to these chemicals every day, and we don't even realize it. And so many people are having so many issues, cancers caused by the environment you're in. It was like hockey stick growth since these chemicals were introduced into the marketplace. Learning differences and disabilities, hockey stick growth that coincided with these chemicals being introduced into everyday products. And even if you think of early puberty and how many of my friends going through IVF and having a hard time
Yeah.
getting pregnant, all of this on the rise. And these chemicals are endocrine disruptors. They like mutate your hormones. And so they're hormone disruptors, they're endocrine disruptors. They can just throw your body off, right? And they're in everyday products. And it's not just one product.
It's so scary.
So then I was like, what's safe? How do I make better choices? And I was like, I tried like vinegar and baking soda, and my husband was like, oh my God, our house smells like literally salad dressing. It's so bad. And I was like, well, I don't know what to do. I don't want my baby to have allergic reaction. She can't even talk. Like, what if she just like turns blue because her throat closes because she's allergic to
Yeah.
something? And so I kind of went extreme. I was like, no plastic in this house. I was like that person. I found a compromise, but back in the day, it was really hard, especially Honor's age, to find just the right products that were safe. And it was often prohibitively expensive to
Oh, yeah.
find the right products. And then I looked at Europe, and Europe had much higher standards as far as testing goes. And they had banned like over 1,100 chemicals. And in our country, they had only banned like under 12 chemicals
It's
were
so
banned in
frightening.
personal care alone. Yeah. And so I was like, wait, so you're just like, we're just being exposed to all these chemicals that they know in Europe are just not safe for humans to be exposed to. What the heck are we doing?
Yeah.
And so I lobbied on Capitol Hill. I learned pretty quickly that health is politicized, and they're like, are you a conservative or are you a liberal? Because that then we'll know if we should care about this. And I was like, what do you mean? This is human
Yeah.
beings. It doesn't even matter. Like, don't you care about human beings? This country is this incredible country where you can really start from nothing. You can have a great idea, and if you work hard and surround yourself with smart people, you can create a business. And so that's what I did. And it took me like 3.5 years to come up with the right business plan, find the right partners, get the right resources to launch it. I didn't definitely put my career in Hollywood on the back burner to get the company up and running. But for me, it was just like, I felt like if God put me here to do something, this is what I was meant to do. It's not just my baby that should be safe. It should be everybody's baby. Every person should. It's not just children. It's not just women or moms. It's everyone should be safeguarded. Thank goodness it worked. And now I would say what's cool is you look up and there isn't a company that can go about business the way they used to, and they do
No.
have to think about health and wellness, and they do have to think about the impact that their company and their products are having on humans, but also on the environment. There's a consciousness, and I was just so happy to be part of that awareness.
I've got one word to say right here in the coop. Chingona. Right there.
Chingona.
Chingona. I'm serious. Like, think about what you did that's changing the planet, the earth, our families. Like, this is a massive undertaking that you took on. And my favorite thing about researching before talking to you today is, Jessica, you had this quote, and I'm going to botch it, but basically saying it took me a while to realize I'm smart. Like, I can use my smart voice. Like, this is who I am. Why was it hard for you to tap into that side of you?
Yeah, I think because I didn't have a traditional education or background in business. I always put people on such a pedestal that went to university and had a higher education, and for me it was like, oh, those are the sort of the people that have the key to intelligence, and they're the ones that make the world go round. And I just never felt worthy of being considered in that way.
When did it switch? Was there a moment where you were like, okay, hell yeah, it's always in me, but now I'm going to listen to that voice?
Took me 3.5 years to get the company started, but it probably took almost about 3 years after I started the business to really take ownership of it and connect with it and feel empowered and correct people when they thought my business partner brought me on. And my business partner was the one who had the idea for the Honest Company. And I was like, I actually recruited
No.
him. It was my idea.
And it's the opposite.
I'm going to correct you on that one. I just let people believe what they believe. I didn't care.
Why do you think that is? I'm just thinking about our daughters and growing up. Is it a female thing? Is it a pleaser thing?
I think it's probably both of those things, and society wanting women to be smart but not too smart,
Yeah.
to be cool but not too provocative, to be a boss but not too pushy. Not don't have too many ideas because then you want to be a bitch, you know.
Yeah.
It's
Oh my
this,
God, it's
like,
the Barbie movie.
yeah,
It's the Barbie
it's like
movie.
this delicate balance, right? Always.
So true.
And so I think I always felt that, but then also growing up in an environment where my grandparents, in order to survive in California at that time, they really had to assimilate.
Yeah.
And they had to kind of disappear in a lot of ways and to not get noticed. And it's like, don't stand out too much. And you should be happy with getting by with what they give you. And if they give you the scraps are better than nothing, you know? And I think being raised with that mentality had an effect on me. And so it did take me a minute to kind of step into the light, I guess.
Well, we're never going back. I'm so glad you stepped into that light. It's incredible what you did. Now you've built your company into a massive success. We're talking big time, people. I'm going to say hundreds of millions of dollars. Tell me about the moment when you decided to pivot once again, Jessica, and say, okay, now I've got that off and singing. I'm going to let this go and pass this off. Did you have to struggle with this from the moment you decided? Did it happen quickly or was it a long
No,
time coming?
it was a long time. I think it probably took me from the moment I knew that I was like, okay, I've probably done all that I can do here, maybe 3 years.
Wow.
It took me to kind of get comfortable with what I knew. And then it was, again, it was finding the right time. I needed the right CEO. I needed the right leadership team. The board also needed to be balanced differently than it was.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Tell me about stacking the board and finding your people, Jessica, people that you knew would embody what the Honest Company is all about.
Well, it was really a board that could be there and support the CEO versus the board was primarily the investors because it's a different board, right? The board that invests in the company is different than the board that's kind of going to help you get to the next level. And I knew that the company's at the place where we needed to go to the next level. So it's having true experts in scaling businesses and have that type of knowledge to support and help the CEO and to have a CEO that can really streamline and execute is important. So she's amazing, Carla,
She's
and then
incredible.
and she surrounded herself with a great team. And then I felt like, okay, great. She's got her team. They're great. They're executing. They're doing the thing. Now I can go and do whatever I'm going to do next. But I'm more of the visionary creator. I don't get a ton of energy from like streamlining and paring down and supply chain and operations. Like that's fine, but like it's just not what brings me joy or gives me energy.
Well, how are you with letting go? And we talked about the calmness coming in for your one word, but I feel like you're either sort of Mach 10 or off, right? Like we'll get to trigger warning and all your
Yeah,
roles in
yeah.
your company. How are you at shutting off?
I think that's what it was. It was Mach 10 or
That's how I roll.
I feel like the last year I did a good job kind of winding down and really passing the baton genuinely.
Is your day to day so different from that? Like that has to be a massive adjustment.
It is different. It's great. I mean, I was in back to back, like 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 a.m., 12 a.m. I was in back to back all day. No real breaks, not even to have lunch. So this is
Yeah.
great. Now I wake up, I meditate, I work out, I have meetings. I have like maybe 3 meetings a day. And then I can like talk to my kids
Yeah.
and my day ends at like a reasonable hour. And then sometimes I'll have like a drinks or dinner, but for the most part, I'm home with the kids and I get to be present with them. And I mean, I was working 7 days a week for so long.
No, you're
And
working 9 days a week with that
yeah,
job. You know what I
I
mean?
know.
That's what that truly is like.
And I was up all night stressed. And it's a lot when you create something that never
Yeah.
existed, right? And you're
Wait, I love that I
learning.
act like I'm like, yeah, I've never done that, Jessica. I'm like, yeah, it's really hard. Like I have no idea what this must have been like.
It's like a crash course and like running a business while learning business, it's like it's wild. And there was a lot of creativity in the process, but it's different because I feel so at home. Like when I'm on a set, I just feel like I'm home and it feels so good.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's cool.
Well, now where you are back on set on your terms with trigger warning, what you and I talked about when you're on set with me is you
Mhm.
being the boss behind it too and
Yeah.
controlling more of it. What
Yeah.
did you love about this? You know, my favorite scene, don't make me talk about that mop scene when you're kicking some major ass. Then, and I love that there's
Yeah.
knife, not guns. That's too easy. So
Yeah.
what did this movie feel like for you?
I had a vision of what I wanted to do and I was pretty uncompromising and in it. And I think that was the unlock for me. Before in my career as an actress, I sort of took the scraps that I was given and I tried to make the most out of it. And I would say other ones were huge wins, right? But there was definitely a box that I felt like I needed to fit inside. And I don't know if it was me or if it was the environment. But and I think a lot of it was probably me not feeling comfortable in my own skin, me not sticking up for myself in the way I probably could have, or standing in my power. And maybe I just felt, yeah, I just didn't feel that comfortable with myself before. And now I do. And so it's just a different swag when you can walk away
Yeah.
from something at any time. I also had nothing else but my identity as an actress prior to. Now
Yeah.
I have a pretty good life that I feel very blessed to have. And so if it doesn't live up to doing something that is good and I feel at all uncomfortable or weird, before I would just kind of like swallow it, or I'd feel sort of pinned against the wall and then sometimes I'd burst out a bit. But now I just kind of talk about stuff right away when it's like, oh, this doesn't feel good and this isn't right and we should address this right now and blah, blah, blah. And it's cool because if you can take on stuff without it turning into a big drama, then it never becomes dramatic. And I think what's neat about producing a movie, especially an action movie that is very male dominant genre, and having so many women as department heads, like female director, and even having a female writer come in, and things don't always have to be totally dramatic. Like you can kind of like have your almond milk latte and you can do all the scenes.
You can communicate.
And it doesn't have to be like super scary.
Look, female Rambo can do whatever the heck she wants, right?
Yeah.
Now I want more of the action buddy thing for you, right?
Oh my God, that would be so fun.
Yeah, so that's what I want you to produce and direct.
Okay,
next.
so put that out there.
Put that out there.
Let's see.
I want to be your funny sidekick. We'll do something fun. I'm telling you, that would be so good.
I do love action and I do love comedy. So that would be so fun to do.
By the way, let's tell our listeners that Trigger Warning is #1 on Netflix. Let's hear it here in the coop. Unbelievable. But of course, everything you do, nothing is half-ass, as I said, and it's all out there, including your marriage. So you met Cash on the set. Was it Fantastic Four?
Yep. I met him on the set of Fantastic Four.
Did he write you a note? Is this a true story?
He did write me a note. He did.
And what did it say? Like, I think you're really, really great or something. I'm trying to remember what it said.
We talked about like, I really, really like you. And then just like a $sign.
Wait, the $sign, listeners, because his name is Cash. Yeah. By the way, that's the greatest name ever, just Cash. Like, if your name is just Cash Money, like, if you could do your name in a symbol,
I know.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
That guy.
And then I was thinking, Jessica, you are the original Sarah Jessica Parker, Carrie Bradshaw. You eloped in the courthouse.
True.
And then went for waffles. You set the scene for what she did with Mr. Big. She stole it from you.
That's so funny. Oh my God, that's amazing. I don't think she was 9.5 months pregnant though.
Oh my God, that's even better. What do you remember about that day or that night, or what did you wear? And now a word from our sponsors. Hello, Coop listeners. This episode of The Coop is sponsored by BetterHelp. BetterHelp is an online therapy app. That's BetterHelp, BetterHelp. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. I got to tell you, there have been big moments in my life where therapy was really essential in my growth. And what's amazing about BetterHelp is that it's entirely online and designed to be convenient and flexible to suit your schedule. We've all got crazy schedules with work, kids, life, etc. Wouldn't it be amazing to get your therapy when you want it without ever leaving your house? These are licensed therapists, and all you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with the right therapist. Give online therapy a try at betterhelp.com/thecoop and get on your way to being your best self. All Coop listeners will get 10% off their first month. Again, it's betterhelp.com/thecoop, betterhelp.com/thecoop, THECOOP. Here's to BetterHelp. Hey everyone, I'm a jeans girl, and if you're like me, you need to know about Blue Delta jeans. Blue Deltas are custom fit for your body type. You send in your measurements and they custom fit them to you. I've truly never had jeans that fit me this perfectly, and honestly, it's been a game changer. Their easy measurement process to get your custom fit and their unique hand-sewn jeans are the best you can get. You will not believe how great they feel. Blue Delta jeans should be your go-to. I'm completely obsessed with their incredible custom vintage jeans that come in straight and flare styles. Trust me, you will live in them. Go to bluedeltajeans.com and enter the code COOP20 for 20% off your new perfect jeans. And now, back to the coop.
I wore whatever fit. It was like the nicest dress I could find that I think I went to Barney's and I got this, like, it was beautiful. I still have it. It's like an Indian designer, a navy one. I just looked at it today actually, because it's in my like archive. I think the biggest thing is I wanted to have something because I'd been in the public eye for so long. And I felt like so much of my life I kind of lived in a fishbowl. Because back then, celebrity and fame was really, it was really overwhelming for me. And it felt really invasive, and it made me anxious and angry, and I felt very uncomfortable with it. And so for me to be able to have something that was mine and having a last name, like having Jessica Warren, and having something that I could share with my baby, and she was going to be a Warren, and we could just be our little family, and it was ours, and it was private, and it wasn't for everyone, you know.
I love that.
And so that to me was like really special. But we wanted to tell our parents, and we didn't get to tell our parents because it got out.
How did that go down? What did your mom and dad say?
They were bummed out because they got called by like a magazine called
Oh, it's
them
so
and said, "Would you like to
stinky.
comment on the marriage of, you know?"
Dumb.
Yeah, it was kind of a bummer because we wanted to tell our parents, take them out to dinner and like have a whole thing, but it is what it is. In hindsight, it's a blip. At the time, it felt really emotional and it was really sad.
Yes.
And my parents were, especially my mom.
It was all beautiful.
Yeah, in
And
the end,
what I
it's
love,
fine, right? It's all silly
yes.
stuff and it doesn't really matter. But
Oh, there is one other quote I want to read you that I love. You said this quote recently: remember who stood by your side as you rebuilt yourself. Those are your people. You and I are similar in so many ways. So, what was the rebuild? Was this leaving the honest company? And I like that you keep your people close.
I think we go through death and rebirth many times, right? Especially if you're evolving. And I think we all should look back. 5 years ago, I was different, right? And things that I cared about or things that I was so attached to are different than where I am today. And I think as we sort of shed the that old skin and we move into ourselves, and we stay true to evolving, um, people who allow you to grow and don't keep you so attached to who you used to be or their idea of who they want you to be, and really like give you the wings, right? They and allow your wings to spread. And I think that that's in friendship. I think that's in your family relationships. And I hope to create that environment for my kids too. I don't want to clip their wings. I don't want to keep them small. And I also know that there's times where they're going to be cocoons and there's times where they're going to be big butterflies, and they're allowed to go through those stages because that's normal.
You're so thoughtful, Jessica. You're one of the most thoughtful people I've interviewed, literally with
Oh, really?
everything. I really love the way your brain works. And when I think about your children, you talked about going to therapy with them. Why didn't I think of that, Jessica? Now, especially the ones that are out of the house. I know it's not too late, but
It's
what a
never too
beautiful
late.
thing. It's never too late. Where have you been all my life? What did you get from that? What did you learn about yourself or from them through that? I just think that is the coolest thing.
Yeah, it's such an amazing tool, I would say, to be able to give your kid, I think, the independence and the stage for them to speak their truth at an age where they feel really caught between being little kids and being sort of like wannabe adults, because it's that preteen age when the hormones come in
Yes.
and they have a all of these changes are happening and everything is impossible and they want to individuate from their parents and everything you do is dumb and they rebel against all of it, and it's all normal, right? All this is all normal behavior. And so for me, it gave me peace of mind that this is actually normal behavior and don't take it personally when they push you away. And then when they
Yeah.
go through the hot cold of like, I want nothing to do with you. And then can we cuddle and can you rub my head? And can I tell you all about my friends and my day? And then when I ask them a question, they're like radio silence. And they're like, are you really talking to me right now? Oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, who do I have? Who do I have today? Because 1 minute we're best friends and you need me. And the next minute you're pushing me away. So like
that push pull.
Yeah, it helped me. And then I would say for them, it allowed them to really, I think, speak their truth. And for me to have an understanding that wasn't just through the lens of parenting. It forced me to really have empathy, like for where they're at in their life and their thoughts and their ideas and how they feel and to give them space for that. And it was humbling, because I'm sitting here like I know everything and I'm doing all of this, but that's not always what they need from you. Sometimes they just need a hug. They don't always need you to be right, you know?
I just think that's, because I'm always like, mom's right, but I see your point of view.
Yeah.
Mom's always right.
We're always right. But sometimes they just don't even need to hear that.
No.
They just want the hug. They just want you to like be there when they push you away and know that you're not going anywhere. And sometimes it's that,
I think that's so beautiful. Okay, wait. We've got to talk about Honest Renovation season 2 because Jessica, we just had you and your best friend on in the studio. It was so much fun. What can we expect?
Yeah, we're on season 2 and Honest Renovations is another sort of an idea I had about how can you, take sort of the values, the brand values of a brand, but then create a show that's kind of completely different than the brand. And is there a way to sort of marry the two? And what does the next stage of branded content look like? And this was kind of an experiment that I had. And so that's Honest Renovations. And it's basically my friend Lizzie and I, we get to go in and help people solve their parenting issues through home design, because often the issues they're going through in their life have to do with the fact that their home just isn't growing, but their family is consistently aging out of their home space. And so we get to be these like fairy godmothers and come in and update rooms in their home to alleviate some of the stress and pressure. They went from 1 kid to 3 kids in, a short period of time. And their house was only really like fit for the 1 kid, but now it's a family of 5. Now what? Or like someone is sick and the only place that they can like have a retreat is in their room and in their bathroom, but they made their whole life about the kids. How can we make them feel held and create a safe healing space for them? And so we have these incredible families, and season 2 is really emotional. I never knew I would cry hysterically on set before, and not to put anyone off, but we really get to meet people where they're at. And this one single mom just was in such a state of grief. And I had lost my grandfather not too long ago, and Lizzie had lost her mom not too long ago. And so we're all just holding space for each other and just like, it just felt good to cry. But then it was like, okay, game plan. We're going to get through this together. We're going to make this home yours, and we're going to create new memories in this space for you. It was a really beautiful season. I'm so excited for people to see it.
Is it on Roku?
It's on Roku. Yeah. So
it's on Roku.
Huge hit on Roku, first originals program that they did.
And I want to tell our listeners, because season 1, and Jessica touched on it, but first of all, you get in there and get dirty too. Like you're doing a lot of the renovations, but the part that I love, it's such, again, it's who you are. It's such a thoughtful show. Like you really are present with these people and it's emotional and you're changing and enhancing their lives. If you love renovation work mixed with heartfelt stories, it's the one for you. So, I can't wait for season 2. Oh, God. But here, quickly, let's get random. Here we go.
Okay.
Oh, I love that you're a trained stunt person and we were laughing here at the Coop. Have you ever just like karate chopped someone
in real life,
or been at a party and been like, I can just go do a, triple flip and take that mop out of your hand?
I can't do a triple flip, but I'm ready. I don't know if it's real life, but in my mind, I can take someone out.
I'm coming to your house and we're going to do some tricks. I would be doing that all over. Secret guilty pleasure.
Secret guilty. I love sleeping in the morning. This is my new thing.
You're
I didn't sleep a lot for most
I
of
would
my
think you're an early morning person. I don't know why,
no.
maybe because you're so
Most of
driven.
my life I didn't sleep. I spent a lot of time with insomnia. I would say my childhood, I was on so much medication and it was very speedy. And then when I was stressed, I was very stressed in my 20s and 30s. And I just had a lot of anxiety and I just didn't sleep. And I would say the last little bit I've learned how to sleep in. My best sleep is like 4 a.m. till like 8:30, and it's just so
Oh,
greedy. It's a greedy sleep, and it's fantastic.
and do you have to take any sleep aids or can you just sleep?
No, I can't. I'm so paranoid. For me, a sleep aid is like chamomile tea and like magnesium at night.
Same,
My
same.
little magnesium.
I do the
But
same at night. I
yeah,
can't take anything. I love a great night's sleep.
it's really kind of life changing. Like it just sets up the day. Then I'm like, have my coffee, I do my meditation in bed, and then I'm like, okay, now I can go. And I don't always sleep in until it's a guilty pleasure. I probably start working out at 8. But still, that's like not bad.
Okay, what's your workout these days?
I do lift weights. I do the treadmill. I walk a hill. I have like a weighted vest. I do spinning. I'm just trying to keep up my bone density, girl. Whatever I can do to make these bones not get brittle.
It's working.
It's like we're in survival mode at this
Yeah.
point.
Listen, I got 10 years on you. Keep
Oh,
at it. I'm telling you,
yeah.
keep it going. By the way, you're going to love your 40s. They're so great. And I'm loving my 50s. I'm telling you, Jessica, now that we're new friends, I can't wait to watch everything you have coming for you. It's like
Oh,
you
thank
sort of
you.
feel everything aligning. Like that's what I feel like. It all comes together. What's in your bedside drawer?
Um, my what is it? Power
What are you
strip?
doing?
My no. No, it's because
Listener, she
I have
just
a
made a
thing with
weird
like
move with her
no, I
hand.
have a thing with like seeing electronics out. And so I have a power strip and I had like it through the back of my thing and it's on the bottom because I've had it at hotels. And so I have my power strip on the bottom shelf. And I have a lot of books that I plan to get to. And I have a sleep mask and I have Tums because sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night with like heartburn. That's very not cute. I've headphones. I have headphones in my drawer, little journal.
Um, Last question for you, my love. What makes you happy?
My family and being present, like in whatever that is. I think when I'm just totally present in the moment, no matter what I'm doing, I can do absolutely nothing, just sitting in the yard and watching the sunset or, um, you know, playing a silly card game with my son or watercoloring, um, or just chatting with my girls while they're like downloading on their day. Just being present is usually when I'm happiest.
Jessica, that is the ultimate success. Thank you for spending this time with us. Sorry we went over the time, but I mean, I feel like we could just go on forever. Big love to you. I'm so happy. I want to say proud of you. I sound like the dorky older aunt, but like I'm just so effing proud of you, everything you've done. And I cannot wait to see what's coming. So work on that buddy action movie.
Awesome.
That's next,
yes,
Jess.
We're putting that out into the ether.
We're putting it out in the universe. All right, sweet girl. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye, darling.
Bye.
Oh my God, I love her. Wow, wow, wow. Let me bring in my producer, Harper McDonald. Harper, we were so excited about Jessica Alba. What are your thoughts?
Well, the fact is she's in her early 40s and what she has accomplished in this amount of time is so beyond me. I mean, let's just first talk about at 17 years old being the dark angel and having a seat at the table and finding that seat after, never having done this before,
No.
really prior to that.
I didn't even know about her childhood illness.
Oh my
I didn't know
gosh.
how debilitating that was and how alone she felt a lot of time
It's a
in
ton
her
of time in the
childhood.
hospital.
And everybody likes to talk about people, getting things handed to them, Hollywood stars.
Right.
She created all of this by herself.
And
All of it.
every dollar she made, she handed back to her family.
Ugh.
I mean, it was just, clearly an old soul, and having to get through some major hurdles from a health perspective, and then also to then build a career as an actress, and then go on at some point in time once she becomes a mom
Yeah.
to create The Honest Company.
Yeah. Okay, wait, before we get into her gazillion-dollar company that she created by herself, the
Yep.
Honest Company,
Yep.
that was, can we just talk, so ahead of the curve. Nobody was doing
No one was
that
doing it.
back then, and it's the greatest thing.
I
Wait,
remember when it was on the shelf when we had babies. I remember it, and I remember thinking like, oh, that's so cool.
That's so
so
cool.
smart.
so smart.
I know.
And the way she single-handedly did that and created her team is just remarkable. Wait,
Yeah.
before we get into that,
Yeah.
how about her as a mom? I feel like I learned so much stuff. Therapy with your kids. Why didn't I think of that, Harper?
I know. Well, it's never too late.
Never
It's
too
never
late. She
too
told
late.
me.
But I loved the one thing that she just said at the end, where she was talking about that, yes, you and I, we've been through a thing or two and we've learned a lot, but it's most important to give our kids the space to be exactly who they are in this moment, experiencing the things that they're experiencing, and we don't have to put our stuff on them, but sometimes they just need us to actually sit there and give them the space and not try to solve it.
I'm a solver. She said that. She's like, you don't always have to be right. And I was
Yeah.
like writing that down in my head, like, good note. Are my 3 kids
Yeah, it's
listening?
extraordinary.
No, I thought
And
that
again,
was-
she did that. I don't remember anyone going to therapy with their kids when they were younger. And I mean, it's all.
And also, it seems
So
like she's
impressive.
trying to reflect on her childhood and add the things that she wanted to do better. And I
Yeah.
always just so respect people like that are sort of learning and moving forward. We keep using this word with everybody in the coop, but God, she really represents this evolving. I
Yeah.
cannot wait to see what she does next.
I know,
She
it's
is
incredible.
a constant motion of evolution.
She really is.
And those are the game changer people. Those are the ones that really make
Well,
a
as you
difference.
said, she does everything 100,000% all in or not at all, and that's truly proved to be a huge piece of her success.
And total side note, did I cast myself in her next buddy cop movie?
I can't imagine which one you'd be, Kit. Of the 2 characters, which one might you be?
Oh, well,
That'd be
that
so
was so
cute.
great. Jessica, thank you so much for coming on the coop.
Super psyched for Trigger Warning, all that she has happening with her. And then the other one, Honest Renovations.
By the way, greatest show. You got to watch out for the new season. It will move you to tears. Maybe she'll come renovate the coop offices.
We've got a lot of work through.
We're a work in
Internally,
motion.
Externally. That would be amazing.
That would be great.
It's incredible things happening, and what a joy to have her on. And
Unbelievable.
So
All right,
cool.
my little coopers, we hope you liked that. See you next time. Thank you for joining us, my chickens. If you like this episode, please give us a 5-star rating, drop in a great review, and tag us at The Coop with Kit Hoover. As well, you can follow us on social media at The Coop with Kit Hoover for behind-the-scenes content and updates. We will see you next time in the coop. And remember, as my mom Bug always says, life is not a dress rehearsal. Make it count. Today's episode was produced by me, Kit Hoover, and Harper McDonald. Our technical producer is Christian Brown, and today's episode was edited by Christian Brown. Business development by Casey Ladd, and a special thank you to all of our sponsors.